Have you ever found yourself confused about whether a file is in YAML or JSON format? It can be a real headache, especially when your script relies on the right format. If this sounds familiar, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to explore how to determine if a file is in YAML or JSON format. I totally get it. Many users prefer YAML because it's more readable, while others stick to JSON for its structure. You're not alone in this dilemma. It's a common issue among developers, and today we're going to tackle it head-on. Here's the specific situation we're looking at. One user recently asked how to check if their configuration file is in JSON or YAML format. They mentioned that their script needs a JSON file, but they want to accommodate users who prefer YAML. Sound familiar? Let's dig into this together. So, what can we do about this? The challenge lies in determining the file format without relying on multiple try-except blocks. We want a cleaner solution that can handle both formats efficiently. Let's break it down step by step. And don't go anywhere. I've got a neat trick at the end that will simplify your code and make it more efficient. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. To determine whether a file is in JSON or YAML format, the user can start by reading the contents of the configuration file. This will allow us to analyze the data format. Next, the user should check if the content starts with a curly brace or square bracket. These characters indicate that the file is likely in JSON format. If the content does not indicate JSON, the user can then check for YAML format. YAML files often start with a key or a dash, which can be used to identify them. Finally, the user can implement a function that returns a Boolean value indicating whether the file is in JSON or YAML format. This will streamline the process. Fun fact, YAML stands for YAML Ain't Markup Language. It's designed to be human readable, which is why many prefer it over JSON. Who knew file formats could have such interesting backstories? Now let's look at the answers provided by other users. This user suggests an alternative approach using a common Python idiom called EAFP, which stands for easier to ask forgiveness than permission. Instead of checking the file format beforehand, they recommend trying to load the configuration file as JSON and then as YAML, handling any exceptions that arise. Additionally, the user mentions that you could create your own functions to check if a string is JSON or YAML. This involves processing the configuration twice, but it could be a viable solution for your needs. Finally, it's worth noting that every JSON file is also a valid YAML file according to YAML 1.2. This means you can process everything as YAML if you have a compatible parser. That's it for that response. Let's explore another one. An alternative approach shared by another user involves detecting whether a configuration file is in JSON or YAML format by looking for standalone commas. They suggest that if the file contains standalone commas, it indicates a JSON file, while the absence of commas suggests it's a YAML file. That's all on that answer. Let's take a look at another one. One alternative approach shared by a user involves checking the file extension to determine its format. They suggest setting a default extension for JSON files and using the pathlib module to get the file's extension. If the extension matches JSON, the file is loaded as JSON. Otherwise, it is loaded as YAML. Here's the neat trick I promised. By using a single function to check both formats, you can streamline your code and make it easier to maintain. This will save you time and headaches in the long run. And there you have it. You now have a method to determine if a file is in JSON or YAML format without the hassle of multiple try-except blocks. If you found this helpful, hit the subscribe button for more tips, and don't forget to share your own experiences in the comments.